Behind me is the brand new 2021 Cadillac Escalade. It is the top dog ultimate luxury Cadillac, and today we are taking all $102,000 of it up Tombstone Hill. That's right, we're going off-road. You're probably wondering, why take an Escalade off-road in the first place? And I'm wondering that too, but there are 3 reasons as to why we are going to see what this thing is like in the dirt. Number 1, a surprising number of you wanted to see how this performs. We got tons of emails asking us to take the new Escalade off-road. Number 2, it is a proper body-on-frame SUV. It does have independent rear suspension, but this one also has air suspension and a transfer case and 4-wheel drive and a big old V8, so, you know, we gotta give it a whirl. And number 3, this vehicle does compete with the Range Rover, and the Range Rover is pretty spectacular off-road. Not that either the Range Rover or the Escalade will ever see dirt. It's still cool to find out, how does this thing do when the going gets tough? The Escalade does have a proper transfer case, like a full-size pickup truck, and I have a few different 4-wheel drive settings. I've got an auto function, a 2-high, and then the mode we're going to use out on the trail is 4-wheel drive high. For 21, the Escalade is available with a low range, but this one doesn't have it. What I have instead is a terrain mode, which uses the brakes and the transmission to kind of mimic a low range, but I don't actually have the mechanical advantage of a low range. I also have an off-road mode, which I'm going to engage, and a suspension setting, which raises the vehicle for just a little bit of extra ground clearance. Now, if I had the low range in the Escalade, I'd have another off-road suspension height above that, but in this vehicle, just one above normal. This is the first off-road test in the Tombstone Challenge. It's called the berm test. A really steep little hill here. Big hole right in the center. Gonna get the vehicle off kilter, gonna get it confused. Now, I'm gonna engage terrain mode. That's like the simulated low range. I'm also gonna make sure I'm in the increased ground clearance, which I am, into drive, and I'm gonna do something pretty cool here. I'm gonna engage the augmented reality camera, which is a camera that displays what's in front of me here on the central screen. It's mounted up here on top of the windshield, and it's meant for like navigation and show you the obstacles on the road, not obstacles like rocks off-road. But it's engaged. Let's see how it does. Helping the visibility. Now, we're getting pretty steep here. I'm gonna put this wheel right in that big hole. Okay, it's gone right in the hole. You know, pretty good torque. Throttle. Definitely lifting that front left wheel high off the ground now. Come on, come on. Oh, nice work. Okay, so what happened there is the electronic differential kicked in. That distributes power left and right to make sure that if one wheel starts spinning or gets thrown in the air, the other wheel with traction will help you along the trail. This Escalade is rolling on a set of Bridgestone all-season tires. Okay, nothing too special. They're not all-terrains, but get this. They're mounted on 22-inch polished wheels, which is a bad recipe when you're tackling rocks. So this is going to probably be a bit of an issue out here today. This Escalade comes equipped with a 6.2-liter naturally aspirated V8. Big ol' engine, 420 horsepower, 460 pound-feet of torque. Now you might notice the number 600 on the back. No, it doesn't have an overboost of 600 horsepower, nor does it have 600 pound-feet of torque. That number refers to the torque output in Newton meters, which is also not 600. It's actually 623, but they rounded it down just to make it more flashy for the back of the Escalade. So, torque output of the engine in Newton meters rounded down. Not sure that's a winner, Cadillac. We are approaching Tombstone Hill here, our rigorous off-road test. We actually have a couple different stages. So there's the right side, which we call Truth. That's really steep, 30 degrees, And it's also pretty loose. And there's a left side called Dare. It's really rocky, very steep, and also super articulated. So we're gonna see how the Escalade does up truth up the 30 degree side, and then we'll try it up Dare. There's a Fiesta here that has clearly made the right decision and stopped cruising down the trail. That was the good call there. Before we head up Tombstone Hill, I want to show you the absurd number of cameras on this Escalade. Now, the first one is the augmented reality camera. That's that big one mounted up here by the mirror, but there are a ton more. Of course, we have a backup camera. All right, not all that unusual. We also have a front-facing camera mounted toward the bumper, so now I have two views of the front. I can go wide on that. I can also look down on the front end of the Escalade, and also, check this out, at the tires. That's actually a pretty helpful view. I do actually appreciate that, but there are a ton more. I can see the rear view, the rear wide, the rear overhead, and the rear tires as well. Plus, I can do this full 360 thing, so I know where the rocks are, or probably more realistically the Mercedes S-Classes at the fancy restaurant. There's also trailer views and then views with lines. I mean, it's just crazy, all the amount of cameras. So I'm gonna do the front so I can see what the front tires are doing, and we're gonna head on up. So terrain mode engaged. I can either choose off-road mode or terrain mode. I'm gonna go into terrain mode. Suspension is on its max. Into drive. Let's see what happens. Now, terrain mode imitates a low range, and what that means is it imitates the control you get of a low range transfer case, that slow speed crawling. It doesn't give you any more wheel torque though. It kind of uses the brakes to make sure you can modulate the throttle nice and slowly. Right, got a little bit of a hole here, but we're climbing now. I can actually go into the settings here and see how steep, grip. I can see how steep the hill is. We're currently at 17 degrees. There's a pitch and roll meter as well. Check that out. So that'll increase to about 30 on the steepest part of the hill. Tons of torque. 460 pound-feet of torque out of a 6.2 liter V8. That's pretty serious numbers. Actually, pretty good traction. I thought it'd be much worse on these relatively low-profile all-season tires. I'm struggling for grip a little bit there, but the eLSD is doing a good job of distributing power to the wheel with traction. I'm kind of impressed. Oop, here we go. Now you do notice that this thing weighs 6,000 pounds when you start pointing it up a massive hill like this. But, we made it up the truth side. We can give Dare a whirl. I just don't want to be responsible for damaging a $102,000 Escalade. That is incredibly rare because it is so new, but you came here for some action, so we'll try taking it up some big rocks. The Escalade does have one luxury feature that definitely impacts the off-road capability, and that's these automatic running boards. You see, typically when I open the door, they extend downward so it's easier to get in, but I don't want to open the door when I'm off-road, have them slam into a rock. So I'm going to have to go into the settings here, select vehicle, and I'm going to go into running boards, and automatic running boards off. Check this out, I don't even need a videographer. You can just see what's going on the outside via the 3D overhead view of the Escalade. How wild is that? Okay, here we go up the Dare portion of Tombstone Hill. Terrain mode still active in the highest off-road setting. Cooled seat, I might go to 2. I have 36 speakers, but I don't think they're really going to help me right now, if I'm being totally honest. Oh man, it's looking pretty rocky today. Okay, just going to take it really slow so I don't damage the sidewall. Not that that's really going to help when you've got 6,000 pounds of vehicle bearing down on a pointy rock. But you do feel that truck pedigree when you start bringing it out here. I mean, you can definitely tell this is still a proper body-on-frame truck. It just feels very solid out on the rocks, even if I could use another probably 4 inches of ground clearance. Works well though. Really articulated. Not a lot of articulation with the air suspension in its higher heights. That's pretty standard throughout the world of air suspensions, but definitely true on the Cadillac. I can kind of take a good line though. Oh man, grip, please grip, please grip, please grip. Because I've got, you know, a lot of confidence. Like, you do sit up high, and I think we just did it. We just did the dare side of Tombstone Hill in a $102,000 Escalade on 22s. We didn't overheat the transmission. A low range would have helped a little bit because it's starting to smell a little bit like tire and like, you know, torque converter in here. But hey, we did it. We made it up. The Escalade proves that it's more than just a boulevard queen. The new Cadillac Escalade. It did pretty darn well. Even without a low range, it had enough ground clearance with the air suspension, and it had enough torque with the 6.2 liter V8 that we pretty much just idled up both of those hills. Independent suspension in the front and the back now, so not a lot of articulation, but hey, the ELSD did its thing and we made it up to the top of Tombstone Hill, both on the truth and the dare side. Now, are people gonna take this off-road? No. No, of course not. I mean, I highly doubt if the Escalade will even see any kind of dirt, be it dirt roads or a dirt field. But hey, if you need your Escalade to get you someplace kind of remote for the 2021 model year, kind of rocks. That was pretty cool, actually, guys. Well, let me know what you think in the comment section below, and check out TFLoffroad.com for more crazy off-road reviews, because that was a lot of fun. If Cadillac sends us the one with the low range and the additional height, I'd like to push it even a little bit further.